Hi lovely humans, this is gonna be a video about long distance relationship and we've been together for over 2.5 years and over 2 years long distance at this point, so we have some experience doing the whole long distance thing. Another question I got was about jealousy and if a long distance relationship increase jealousy, and I feel like there are different types of jealousy, first of all.
I think, yeah, there's jealousy and there's envy, which are like different, I don't know if you have different words for those.
We have, but they mean the reverse, I think.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not entirely sure, but there is that thing of like, a very, very normal thing, I think, in a long distance relationship is when your partner is out with their friends and you're jealous. Not in a, I don't want you to be doing this way, but you know, oh, I wish I was there.
Which is envy in English.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, you're envious of the experience that you wish you were there. You wish you were part of that experience.
Yeah, which is like, I think very normal. It's like, yeah, because like your partner is doing a fun thing with their friends. And you're like, I want to spend time with your friends. I want to do those things. It's okay. That's like fully, I feel like that's, as long as it doesn't become something that just like eats you alive and it's like every single time you're like, ugh. Like if it's not that, I feel like it's healthy even.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to, like in that case, say like, oh, I wish I was there. Happy for you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh my god, that sounds so fun. Wish I was there. Have the best time. You're like encouraging your partner to have those fun experiences. I feel like that's actually a very important thing.
Yeah.
Is to keep encouraging your partner to have fun things without you.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something we're pretty good at.
Yeah, because it's rough that you're long distance, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm not there.
Yeah, like, unless you're very introverted homebodies, and in which case that's fine, but you don't want to, like, I don't want you to be at home miserable. I want you to just, like, go out there and make friends and have fun and, like, meet musicians and jam with other people and just do all of those things. Because, like, there are things that make you you and that make you happy. And then, I mean, in terms of, like, jealousy of, like, cheating and things like that, I feel like there are different levels, again, as well. Because I feel like there is fear of cheating and jealousy. And those are not the same, actually, I personally feel. Because I know that I'm not afraid of you cheating on me. And I've never been. Because my general position is, if someone is going to cheat, they're going to cheat. Like, straight up.
Yeah.
People can live together, have children, and cheat. How, I don't even know how you do that. But like, if people can cheat when they live on the same roof, and that happens all the time, like, sure, you can be afraid of them cheating in a long distance relationship. People can cheat anytime they want.
It's maybe harder for you to uncover it long distance, but I feel like uncovering cheating is a slippery slope anyway. So
what does it even mean, honestly?
Yeah, it's like, I think when your trust in your partner
I feel like we're both like very like not good at talking about this because we're both like
something that's super important for me in any relationship is trust, I think. So see them less, I think. So you would get less cues if there was something going on.
Yeah, that's true. So
you have to have more trust that nothing's going on.
To be perfectly honest, like there was a point in our relationship that I was jealous of someone in your life. And I think mostly for me, it wasn't that I was afraid she would cheat. It was more like, you had just moved to a new country. You were making new friends. You were meeting new people. And I did not know these people. And there was that element of like, you have a whole new life being built around you. And I'm hearing about it, but I'm not seeing it. And so there was that element of like, you are building a new life that I feel was like playing into it. Well, you're meeting new people and maybe you don't feel things for them, but they might feel things for you. And that was just like making me uncomfortable. But that was a me problem, honestly. Like sometimes you also have to be honest of like, this is a me problem. And I feel like I told you that it was difficult still.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily make it that much easier. But the recognition of like, I'm not asking you to change. I'm not saying I don't trust you. I'm just saying this is how I feel. Then at least it's better to hear that. Like, it's reassuring to some extent.
In doubt, you should err on the side of over communication. That can create like, honestly, communicating a lot can create problems almost, but I don't really think it's actually creating them. It's more like no problem is left unturned. Like you are really touching on every problem that could potentially be. So that means potentially there's going to be more tension sometimes, but also, in my opinion, you're going to solve more tensions and you're not going to let things fester and just grow as much. So I like things to just be in the open. And so, yeah, I was like honest of like, hey, yeah, I'm uncomfortable, jealous with this person, but it's not on you. You're not doing anything for it. It's my own insecurities. Because I'm also like, honestly, some people have more insecurities than other about their own self-worth and things. So if you are someone who has insecurities and who has like self-worth issues, which I do, then like recognize that there are going to be times where you might be jealous, not in your partner is doing anything right, but because you don't have good like I'm worth it. And so then yeah, you're gonna have to work on it, and you're not to your partner about it, but not make them solve it.
Yeah,
it's not on them to solve it, it's you.
If you approach it from that sense of like brutal self-awareness and honesty of like, no, I'm jealous, but this is because I have XYZ insecurities, it's not for you to solve, then yeah, like it's still difficult for the other person to hear, but then at that point you know that it's not about you, so you don't have to feel so maybe defensive. And I could ask like, okay, so this is stemming from XYZ insecurities. I'm not going to change my behavior at all in terms of the people that I'm interacting with, but what can I do in the way that I'm interacting with you to help address XYZ insecurities, which is also like not my problem. But if I can do something that will make you feel better or make you feel more secure, then that helps you, and then you're not as jealous, so then it helps me. So it's like a good cycle.
Always the approach that, I mean, it's not just a long distance relationship thing at this point, really, of this is not a you versus me. This is us versus whatever we're dealing with.
So yeah, I think jealousy is maybe a normal issue and definitely not a deal breaker, as long as you can address what is causing the jealousy, because I think it's usually there's something else leading to jealousy most of the time. Also, I guess there are some situations where jealousy is
warranted,
or some people think jealousy is like a good thing, like, oh, you should be jealous.
Oh wow, yeah, there are people like that where like jealousy is a sign that you love them.
Yeah,
we're not on board with that. Yeah, we're not on board with that conception of things.
No, but I mean, if that helps you get through that in your relationship,
no. If you think there is actually something going on, like if like for whatever reason you think there might be something going on, also address it. Like, don't be a doormat. Do not be a doormat. Because like in our situation, like I knew clearly there was nothing going on, but maybe in other people's situation there is something going on, and in which case you just need to address it up front. Like again, just be straightforward about it. You don't necessarily need to be like the #1 top priority in your partner's life, I personally feel. But your relationship should be a high priority. Maybe not #1, but it should be of high priority. So if there are like if your partner is systematically putting the relationship down their list of priorities and prioritizing a bunch of other things above you, unless it's something that you both are doing and you're both like okay with and it's discussed and it's like, oh cool, I don't think that's super, like, that's not great. Question are just like, literally a lot of question I guess is like, how do you handle it? And like, including I think, how do you handle not being able to see the person you love? Just make as much time as you can to feel connected to each other, to feel like part of your all day, as much as you can. You try to visit as often as you can. Miss them. Like, let's be real. You're gonna you'll miss I miss you all the time. We miss each other a lot. And like sometimes it's just like, oh, I miss you, and sometimes it's like, no, I miss you. Like it can vary a lot on the spectrum. You just have to accept it. It kind of sucks as a feeling.
Yeah.
But it's part of the deal.
Yeah, how do you handle it? I think intellectualize it. I don't know, because what are your other options, right? Like, if you're in a long distance relationship, it's because you want to be in a relationship, but you have priorities that are keeping you not in the same place. So, like, you need to just evaluate consistently, daily, kind of, no, I still feel this way. And it's, so being in a long distance relationship, you kind of are like, yeah, maybe not daily, but you know, you're like, I still want to be with this person. I still very much love this person. And so the relationship, I still want to commit to it and I still want to put effort into it. But XYZ components in my own life that are also important to me as an individual mean that I'm not going to uproot everything right now.
Yeah, and like on that part of like the old like we're choosing in a way not to uproot our life for each other. There are a lot of like long distance couple who will just uproot their lives for each other fairly quickly and just like change their whole like life path and the way for each other. And there's a like, wow, they're like doing so much for love. And I remember being like, why aren't we able to, like, it's not we're not able, but we're not choosing to do that. We're both like, we love each other and our relationship is a very high priority for us. But we're not okay with uprooting our whole life and like just changing everything for it.
Yeah.
And I brought it to my therapist because I was like, I feel like, do we not love each other enough? Like, because I didn't think so, but I was like, why are they doing this for like love and we're not ready to do it? And my therapist was like, when you can't stand to be apart from someone else and you're like uprooting your whole life to be with them because you can't wait a bit longer, is it love or is it something else? Is it fear? And I was like, oh. And I don't want to call out anyone who has done it, but I think he's right in like there is an element of fear of like, this is so hard as a relationship. We need to move to each other close now by fear of things breaking apart if you don't. We have to change memory card. We're talking too much. No, we're not. It's interesting. But yeah, like there is a part that is rooted in fear, and if it's okay if you're like very attached to your relationship and you're afraid of it falling apart, and so you want to like move and be closer to us, not to have that risk. That's fine. But I guess like the takeaway for me was, as anxious as I can be, I'm not afraid enough to do that type of thing. I trust us enough to think that even if we have to spend a long time apart, it's going to be worth it and we're going to make it work. And if eventually we don't, then that's very sad. But as we've talked about before, worst case scenario, this doesn't work, which I really hope is not the case. But if it doesn't work, we'll have learned so much from each other, and I'll always like have very like tender feelings for you, and I will be very, very happy to have been in this relationship. And the thing is, we are young. We're 23. We're still in a stage where like building the foundation for our future's careers and everything. And so for us, at this point, it makes more sense to just set ourselves up for the best careers possible, the best, like, having as many options as we want for our future life together. So that then, when we finally live together and have our life together in the same place, we have options.
Yeah. I have thoughts about that.
Please.
But trying to organize them. Yeah, I think there's you said like if you're very attached to your relationship and that's coming from fear as well, then whatever, that it's fine that you want to move together. But the phrase that you use, attached to your relationship, I think is a key one, because it's not just that I respect and like our relationship, but I respect and like you. And like I fell in love with you partially for your goals, your ambitions, the things that you want to accomplish in life. And so I want to support you doing those things individually as much as possible. And like our relationship is one of those supports. Like it's something that we both rely on. But yeah, like at this point in both of our lives, like we have stuff that we individually want to do and are prioritizing doing. So it makes sense to kind of It's not like we prioritize that more than our relationship.
No, it's more like
that this relationship, as a long distance relationship, is fine. As a relationship, it's quite good. And it allows us to do our own things at the same time. Whereas if we prioritize having a relationship where we were physically living together, that would require a sacrifice on one of our parts that is...
Sacrifices are okay in relationships. Sacrifices are okay in relationship. And in the future, we're probably like, at some point, each of us are probably going to sacrifice some things.
Yes.
That's
Which is another conversation you should have as a long distance people in a relationship, is like, what are you willing to sacrifice? What aren't you willing to sacrifice? When will you be willing to make that sacrifice? Because sometimes you're like, this will be a sacrifice for me, and I will make it maybe at this point down the line, but I'm not ready to make it right now.
Yeah, like, and I know for some people who are maybe coming from different cultures as well, that might be like, I will make that sacrifice when we're engaged or whatever. Like, maybe some people want to have that like type of like symbolic commitment before doing that type of sacrifice. That's a thing that I've heard from quite a few people of like, I mean, especially women, stereotypically still, of like, we can move, like, I'm ready to move and like make those sacrifices for you if I know you're in this for like the long run, really. Like, I'm not making sacrifice for someone who might just like break up with me. And so there are people who are like, yeah, I'm only doing that type of sacrifice if we're gonna get married. So if we get engaged. And you know, if that's what you want / need, that's fair. I feel like that's completely okay.
Yeah.
So you need to have a conversation about when and what sacrifices you will make. And as you very well said, like at this point, the sacrifice, for example, it would require for you to come to me. I don't want you to make those sacrifices. Like, of course, I would love my partner to be closer to me and that we would be able to live together. Because like, we've been together for a certain amount of time. And we've tried living together. And I think it works pretty well. But if it means you would have to like sacrifice what you're building right now, and that you wouldn't have the same opportunities in the future, I don't want that for you. I want you to be like, hey, if one day, like, if you want to be like the badass scientist, you do it. If you want to be a musician, you do it. Like, I want you to have all of your options and be able to like fully do them and like make those choices on your like by what you really want for yourself.
Yeah, which I think comes down again to this like, I don't know, we're both deeply pragmatic people. So maybe this is like weird to other people, but it's like, again, this pro-con idea of your relationship. It's like, yeah, long distance, kind of a con, but it's not unmanageable. And it will permit you to be able to do other things that like practically will then give you more opportunities for the future, or will require fewer sacrifices, which might result in resentment because you gave up something that you didn't actually want to give up.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Like, I would really hate for one of us to sacrifice things to be with each other right now in physical living together, for then be very quickly, or maybe 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, be like, hey, I'm actually resenting you because I could have so many more opportunities if I hadn't done this for our relationship. Like, that's my worst nightmare.
Yeah, so I think it's like putting yourself in a mindset where you can try to envision what your regrets might be as a consequence of any certain decision. And I think I don't have regrets in our relationship as it is right now. Like, yeah. I wouldn't regret a long distance relationship in its current form.
That's a good point. Like, ultimately, you fell in love with your partner for who they are. And I mean, I feel like that's crucial to say in any type of relationship. You love them for who they are. Don't try to change them. Don't expect them that because they're in a relationship with you, now they must change. Like, as we talk about frequently in our relationship, it's natural to change. It's like, I mean, all your life, but like, especially when you're like in your early 20s. Like, we met when we were 21, which is not that long ago, but like, we've changed quite a bit as people since then. And that's okay. And like, it's okay and normal to grow and evolve. And what you want to do is support the other person's growth and be like, hey, I'm excited to see you grow. I'm excited to see who you're going to become. And I want to be a part of that. It's not, I want you to stay the exact same version of yourself, or I want you to change in this way that's convenient for me. Neither of those are good. And if you're getting in a relationship with that mindset, honestly, fuck that relationship. Drop the relationship or drop the mindset.
I think that's one perspective that is good for any relationship, but maybe because long distance relationships sometimes can seem like a lot of work, and so you start questioning like, okay, even if you love that person, it's like, is this actually worth the work? Because probably, like, to be honest, you could probably fall in love with somebody again where you are.
Clearly, neither of us believe in soulmates. We don't believe in like the one or soulmates. Like, again, pragmatic people.
Right.
So like maybe people like have a different vision of that. That's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But when you're questioning like, wow, is this actually worth the work? Okay, you know, it's like, do you still respect that person? Do you love that person? And are you curious about who they're going to be tomorrow? Are you interested in who they're going to be tomorrow? Do you want to be in their life tomorrow? Do you want to support them getting to where they're going to be tomorrow? Like, and if you still are engaged with them on that level, then yeah, like put in the work to make it happen. But if you start being like, okay, no, actually, I wanted the person they were yesterday and I'm not that interested in who they are tomorrow, that's not a great sign.
Yeah, I feel like that, like, that kind of leads me to like the idea of like breakups and like, oh, long distance relationships don't have as good of a success rates as other relationships. First of all, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know.
Yeah, because how are you defining success? Is it like you stayed in a relationship?
You stayed in together until you died.
Yeah.
Is the idea. Like, no, that's a whole other debate.
Yeah.
But like the idea of like, you're successful in a relationship if it lasted until your death, not a criteria. I mean, in my opinion. Like, because if you are unhappy in a relationship until you die, that's not successful. A long distance relationship will expose your insecurities and problems earlier on. Editing Clara here, because we ended up filming for over an hour. This is only one part of the 3-part video series. So the previous video, you can check it out already. And the next video will be about communication, about big topics, how to handle people disapproving of your relationship, cultural differences, and all of that. Stay tuned. Okay, come on.
Church bells. It's Sunday.
We're hungry. Our stomach are starting to communicate. Yeah.
Sunday.
Is there any questions you've received about like long distance relationship?